Hi there, and good afternoon, Greater Harlan. If you're tuning in live, this is Tuesday, July 20th, and we are focused on 4 campaigns to grow and reach your database. If you're tuning in live and that's what you want to hear about, campaigns of how to grow and reach your database, you're in the right spot. I'm realizing that a lot of you all that might be watching this at a later point, here's the great thing about doing this live. We have the ability to comment right now, and if you're watching this later, you can comment as well. So if you have questions about campaigns, you're going to get them answered. So before we get going too far down the road, my name is Clark Kendall. I serve as your regional technology trainer and have the amazing Tori Purdue. Tori, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Tori Purdue. I have been an agent with Keller Williams for the past 7 years and am now a tech trainer here in Lawrence, Kansas. So I've sold in Oklahoma City area and in Lawrence, and I'm happy to be in Lawrence now. And I also have a paint company. We're a construction paint company doing residential and commercial interior and exterior painting. So I have a lot going on, and I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome, glad to have you. Yeah, we're going to be diving into campaigns here. So before we get going in campaigns, we'll talk about our goals and agenda, and know this about these trainings that we have. We want to make sure that you get your questions answered, or you might not have any questions presently. We want to give you the tools and resources to go beyond this, right? To give you the ability to self-learn and drive your business within command. So know that as Tori and I are tech trainers, you also have an amazing Market Center tech trainer in your own office, and they are there to walk alongside and understand your business and to help apply the pieces of command that makes sense for you. It might not be everything. So you have an amazing Market Center tech trainer, and also you have an amazing resource called answers.kw.com. It's the #1 resource that even Tori and I, we can't remember every single facet of command because there's a lot, right? And so answers.kw.com is your searchable resource on how to do anything in command with videos, step-by-step illustrated tutorials, and it's also categorical based. So if you want to know more just about team campaigns or just campaigns in general, there's a section just on that. You can read all the articles. I'll put that in the comments at some point during this training for you to access. And so without further ado, let's go into here's our goal for today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here on the far right hand side. You see this, our goals. It's identify your database growth goal. All right. Yes, we're going to be talking about campaigns, the X's and O's, the how-tos, but it's important to know what your goal is and why you're doing this. What result do you hope to get from diving into campaigns? All right. So to take a pause right there, ask yourself that question. You're tuning in live, or you're watching this later point. What brings you here? Hopefully it is to grow your database and increase that number, increase the relationships, but also to make it easy to build those relationships or reach out to them. Of course, we know that any goal that you might have that is your goal, we want it to be a SMART goal. We want it to be measurable, right? We want to have a system and structure around it and take out the guess and the fingers crossed hoping that you have a good database, right? So set goals around that. There's an amazing way to set your goals in command based on the amount of profit that you want to have. You can go to answers.kw.com and search for set my goals in command. It'll give you a quick article there to do that. We're not going to cover setting goals in command today yet. Just think that what do I intend to do with learning this campaign stuff? How large do I want to grow my database? Am I currently at 200? Well, what's the number I want to reach by the end of the third quarter? What's the number I want to reach by the end of the year? Okay. Ask yourself those questions and set yourself a measurable goal and allow these campaigns to drive that. As you understand what campaigns are and how you can grow your database, it'll start to click here, right? Tori, anything else to add on to any goals or a perspective there?
Yeah, I definitely agree that if a goal doesn't have these miniature steps along the way, chances are you're not going to get there. We need to break it down, set up those dominoes.
Yeah, for sure. And don't be surprised if it happens faster than you think if you get intentional with it, right? Because if you start doing Facebook ads, you're like, yeah, I'd like to add 25 people to my database. Oh, that'll happen pretty quick. So be prepared for some success if you're purposeful with it. So before we get going on X's and O's, we also want to always bring in real world examples of agents in our region that are successfully using Command in whatever topic we have. So I'm going to bring on Matt Kmeyer here and change our little perspective here. Matt, so glad to have you on. Your Command is crazy. You're awesome. Tell us about yourself first. Where are you hail from?
Yeah, so I am at Keller Williams Realty West out here and just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. And I've been a licensed agent, going on about 6.5 years or so. I started as a young pup. Now I feel like older than dirt. But no, I've done pretty much everything from the investment side of things to new construction, project management, and now focusing just the last 3 years in the retail side, buyers and sellers. I am a single agent, just recently brought on my first admin, and I solely use Command for everything. I have a very unique, I wouldn't say super unique, but all of my business is sphere of influence and social media. I know that a lot of agents really focus on the lead generation aspect of it. My generation is everything with a cell phone. So I'm more about exposure than I am actual lead generation. And Command allows me to really just tap into my SOI.
That's awesome. Well, you touched on an important part there, right? Because we understand lead gen, it's two pieces. One is prospecting and another is marketing. And you prospect if you don't have the current amount of relationships needed to get to your end goal, your closings, your profit, whatever it is.
Right.
You've got those relationships established. Now you get to market and reach out to them in a way that you enjoy, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. So tell us about you said you use Command for everything. Before we get into that, how many families or folks do you get to help in a given 12 months in a year? What's your production?
Yeah, so last year I ended with 42 units as a single agent. And this year I've closed 36 so far, with 18 still under contract right now. So I should be hitting around the 50 or 60 mark easily this year. Definitely with the help of my new hire, getting to the point where like, man, I'm not gonna be able to do much more. So yeah, I mean, primarily really all sphere of influence. So last year actually was my first year. Previously, I was on a big team, and last year was my first year as an independent solo agent, really just focusing on Command. And out of those 42 transactions that I did last year, my database was only about 340. So really, when you look at the conversion rate, and that was all sphere of influence. That was not one door knock, not one open house, not one cold call. That was primarily focusing on, who do I know? Where are the clicks? St. Louis is known for where did you go to high school, right? It's our famous little, conversation starter out here. And so I really started diving into, okay, where are the niches that I know the most people? And then really just started blasting everything social media. And then that was when I really started focusing on the campaigns. And now this year, let's just say if I close 60 units this year, I think my database now is around at the 600 mark. And that's all organic imports, and primarily from social media.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and so I love having you on because there's so many different directions to take this conversation. One, goodness, managing that new business in Command, right? Like alone and building your database, how to manage all that and have opportunities and DocuSign conversations, and we'll hold off. Yeah, just focus on the database going from 300 for about 600. Speaking to how has campaigns fueled that growth for you?
That's a great question. So for me, last year when I first started, as an independent agent, I came up with my own brand, of course, Keller Williams. But I started experimenting with the campaigns from a lead generation perspective. And I mean, I have received overwhelming amounts of leads from those campaigns, but I felt for me, I was spending more time nurturing and, just continuing to follow up. Whereas if I shifted those campaigns to more of an exposure standpoint, I was actually getting private messages on Facebook instead of me going to get the lead, which is really weird. Instead of being proactive, I was more or less supporting the brand and supporting the image on social media. And in my demographic, somebody is going to private message me on Facebook over a text message or a phone call any day of the week. So if I can use campaigns as a brand awareness and basically just be everywhere. I want my logo and my brand and everything I do to be on every single platform as possible. It creates a sense of trust, and it's so much easier for that potential person, whether they know me directly or indirectly from a person or whatever else, it's so much easier for them to say, hey, I know you from something, or I've seen your, posts around, I'm interested in kind of learning more about the buying process or selling process, whatever. So I use it more of an as an exposure than an actual lead captivating or a lead capture service.
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective because it's a different one than we've heard most of the time about these Facebook ads, right? It's like, oh goodness, it's saved me from speed to lead, right? As soon as I get it, I got to make the call, which is 100% valid if that's your approach. And yet this is creating by getting exposure through these ads in an easy way, and because they are easy to set up and go through that. You're focused on the exposure, adding validity to the trust that you already have with people that know you.
Right. Yeah. And one thing I do want to point out is not to say that the leads that I'm getting from the campaigns are not legitimate people who are interested, but think of it as a time on task. If I'm shifting more of my energy, time, and resources to right now business, and I can generate right now business on a consistent basis, I'm not necessarily focusing more on second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter business, because I'm continuing to gain that exposure and I'm just nonstop right now business. Now, don't get me wrong, the market will continue to shift and I will then need to course correct. But as of right now, the exposure side of it is really what I'm ramping up, for my business. And not only that, my brand is in its infancy. There are numerous agents that are in my market center and in the St. Louis market in general who have been around forever. I mean, it's hard not to know who they are, but at the end of the day, I want to be everywhere, and I think social media for my demographic and where the majority of my leads and sales are coming from, I found a niche and that's what I'm going to be farming.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, that's super encouraging. And Tori, anything else for Matt? Or
yeah, so it sounds like you handle a lot of volume just on your own, which I know in Keller Williams, we say when things are starting to get tough and you feel overwhelmed, to use leverage. Would you say that Command has helped you as a piece of leverage, and how do you use it to handle that many things going on at once?
Yeah, so when I first started early on in real estate, after I left the investment side of it, I started on a small team, and I learned the transaction management side of it. So I would say that I have a little bit of upper hand in that aspect of it. But I mean, I've used some of the biggest, tech in the industry. Boomtown is a big one, Brivity, Dotloop, and all these other conglomerates that, help our real estate business. But at the end of the day, I want a one-stop shop. I want to be able to get in, here's my contacts, here's my tasks, here's everything I got to do, create an opportunity, throw the crap in DocuSign, and just be done, especially for me, I will say, and I'm probably not the only one, man, was it frustrating to learn something new. And, and not only that, Command continues to evolve. So I was actually talking with Clark the other day, bringing in a new team member, just got everything all ready to go. And then now team campaigns pop up. And I'm like, Lord, help me here. But at the end of the day, I mean, if we're not growing and we're not stretching, and things are always going to be uncomfortable, and until you do them. And I was happy that I embraced the suck, so to speak, excuse my language. But at the end of the day, I just told Clark, I said, hey man, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be, the biggest promoter of Command. And thankfully, Command totally works for me. Now I know everybody has different, business models, different setups. But as of right now, I want the one-stop shop. I don't want to be in 10,000 other softwares and tabs on my computer. It definitely has streamlined, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Matt, thanks for that. And one of the things that it's truly been a win-win as we've had this relationship and you've been committed to Command, right? It hasn't always been the easiest for everyone because we're learning something new and we made some shifts and even needed to have some stability in our program, and it's amazing now. That partnership has meant more to me as a tech trainer. So those of you all who are watching live and agents that are stepping into campaigns for the first time, bring your Market Center tech trainer into the conversation. We can talk X's and O's and how-tos all day long, but until it gets applied to business and seeing the ins and outs of really having hands on it, it's tougher to understand. Or we're limiting ourselves of more possibilities and more conversations we can have with outside of just our own trainings, right? So, Matt, I appreciate your commitment to it and also always leading the conversations. And even when it's a tough one, like, hey, I feel like this is broken. Let's figure this out together. So I value that, man. Keep plugging away. I trust you'll have probably more than you anticipated in closed transactions. I think 50 is going to be a walk in the park, it sounds like, for this year, man.
Thank you.
Keep growing that database and keep that exposure up.
Yeah, the one thing that I would say before I go is, I have been in the whole muck of Command. I've been in it from the very beginning, and I've been a part of it with all the changes. And for me, I mean, just focus on selling, and then if you put all of your time and energy to all the things that Command can't do or doesn't do well or whatever else, I mean, you could write a book, but so could you write a book about any other software. At the end of the day, figure out what works, find something that works for you right now, and continue to focus on the stuff that makes you money. And at the end of the day, when something does come out, what was that new feature that came out a couple months ago, Clark? And I was like, I've been waiting for this. And then I put things on pause and I focused 1 week on that new feature that came out. And then once I got that up and running, I was back to selling.
I believe there's automatic lead settings where you can auto tag or auto add to smart plans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like I didn't lose any sleep that feature wasn't a thing. But I just continued to focus on doing what I do and nurture and follow up. And when Command came ready for it, I pivot and put everything I need in place, and then I go right back to it. And so I think there's a lot of agents that are still experiencing a lot of frustrations with Command, but no one software is perfect. So the more people that we do have come together to help create Command to be the perfect software, it's going to take more agents to hop on board, so that way we can, help it do what it needs to do.
Oh, awesome, Matt. All right, so you're almost out of here, but we did get a comment on Facebook. So Sandy Burgess asks, Matt, is there one campaign if you had to choose that you like the best, or one approach that you had?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard one. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would say, so for me, not necessarily one campaign, but I use 4, which are actually all done in Command from KWRI. The quarterly call, which is basically 4 touches a year. The monthly neighborhood nurture, which, I mean, don't stress about not having their address. I know that's a big one, not having their address. If you know some vicinity that they live in or whatever, put them on something. I don't even care if I'm in a different zip code. They're going to get something. It's some material that comes from me. And then I use the birthday. So every time on Facebook, every day it populates a list of all of your friends that have a birthday. So every morning when that notification comes up on Facebook, I screenshot it. I get into the office, I pull up the photo, I plug the birthday into Command, and then I have a birthday smart plan that I created. So I'm using social media to give me free information, plugging it back into Command, and then utilizing it. So if you think about it, you got 1 touch for your birthday, you got 12 touches for the monthly neighborhood nurture, you got 4 touches for, I mean, that's half of a 33 touch campaign right there. So, I mean, as long as you're using something and you're touching them in some way, shape, or form, try to just use the stuff that you can find for free, you know? And as I'm not sure, you know, when she hopped on Facebook, but I just want to be, I'm not even really going after them, you know, real estate related. I just want them to know that I exist. Hello, call me if you need me, you know?
A good first step and stuff. That's all.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, I would say every single contact in my Command has at least those 3 at a minimum. And then I can start being more strategic and more specific. If I do an event or if I have a newsletter that comes out, nothing that I do is special. Nothing that I do is rocket science. I utilize almost everything that Command has with a little bit of my spin on it. And I just try to apply as many smart plans for that particular person as possible. You know, and me doing all my bit, and I know I'm rambling, but here's another one that I think is really important. Don't stress about having all of the information in your Command. There are people in my Command that I don't have an email or a phone number or an address for, but I plug in a task and then I follow up with them on Facebook and just shoot them a Facebook message. I invite them to events. I send them links to an email newsletter. So don't let that scare you, because when I first started, I was like, oh, I can't put this person in Command and I was losing business. So, you know, put them in Command, even if you have a first name, and write a note. So then you know what smart plan, what campaign that you can apply to them. And then find a way to turn it into a link and just send it to them in a Facebook message. So don't be scared. You know, somebody always told me imperfect action is way better than perfect inaction. So literally just do every single thing that you can, and eventually it'll work out.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Well, hey, I appreciate and honor your time that you've had to share with us today. It's encouraging for all of us. Look forward to Matt growing his business even more. Let's do 100 transactions.
Let's do it. Thank you, Clark. Thank you, Tori. You guys have a good one. Appreciate the opportunity.
Hi.
All right, Tori, we're going to jump into Exodo. So here's our agenda for today. Now, the title today is 4 campaigns to grow and reach your database. All right. And so we'll cover out what those 4 are. However, we're going to focus primarily on one today, and that's the one that we probably hear the most about, and that's Facebook ads, right? So, but know that there are 3 others that we're going to cover. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and move this over to there. There we go. So while we're here in Command, right? So Tori, we're going to walk through creating a Facebook ad, but before we do this, we want to make sure we know what all we can do in campaigns and what is a campaign. So we get this question a lot. The difference between a campaign and a smart plan. A campaign and a smart plan. And there's probably a lot of different ways to communicate, but here's where I like to think about a campaign. A campaign is a one-off blast of some sort. It's something you're doing in Command, and it's one blast campaign, and it ends there. Okay, or there's no sequence to follow it automatically. All right, or at least the activity that you're doing, that one campaign you're creating, is just a one-stop. Now, where a smart plan, it is multiple. It's a sequence of events, touches, tasks, reminders, emails, whatever it is. Probably where a smart plan is, but campaign is just a one-off blast. Now, what kind of blast are we talking about here? When I go into campaigns, right, which is the little megaphone icon, we see that it defaults to the dashboard. I'll revisit the dashboard here in just a second, but the 4 ways are the 4 other tabs at the top you go into campaign. So you can see your paid ads. Now, when I click on, there we go, paid ads. that's what we often talk about in Command is Facebook leads or Facebook ads and getting Facebook leads and following up with them. We're going to cover that today and actually got some brand new information today. We've got the hottest, the most cheap, inexpensive way to get leads, I think for about 15 cents a piece. So stay tuned for that. I want to share that information we just got literally today. And also, so we got paid ads, creating one ad and putting it out in the Facebook world and receiving leads automatically. We also have emails. So this would be an email blast. It's different than an email smart plan, which could be multiple emails going out automatically. This is a one that you create, maybe something where you time block to create an email campaign and send it out to whoever you want in your database. We also have direct mail, which are, it's an integration with real mailers. It's a great partnership we have with a third-party company that we know and trust. And so we can create postcards directly in Command and be able to target the specific neighborhood that we want, or the housetops, rooftops that we want within there. And then social posts. We'll probably cover paid ads and social posts, but also know in the comments, we're going to put links for emails and direct mail to allow you to follow up, because these are viable, very, very viable ways to grow your database and also reach them. If I've got a database of 400, I can create an email and newsletter and send it out and just be done with it. And then we can do that through there. So we'll put the answers.com article there. And also I can target my database if I really wanted to within direct mail. So we're going to cover paid ads, and I think we'll have time for social posts, because we do want to get you wrapped up at 2:30 here, and or at least cut off as close to that hour as we can. All right, so Tori, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. So while we click on the paid ads portion here, right, if this is your first time going into campaigns, it may look a little bit different here, right? Because I've put several different ads within Facebook, and every single one I've put in here, in some Google AdWords ads, they're all listed here by row. Okay, so if you go in here, you don't see the lines that you see in mine, that's okay. You're getting ready to create your first campaign, and you will see it here. So while we're here, all the campaigns you have listed are below. We'll revisit that here in just a second. And but there are also some filters here that you can go through, goals, different channels that you use. There's a lot of information, but just know this is almost like a mini dashboard just for Facebook campaigns or Facebook ads out there. One note here. While we're in, we might have just a bit of feedback there. Okay. While we're on this part, before we create a campaign, it is important to know that you do need to have Facebook and or Twitter if you're going to do a Twitter ad. We talk less about that. We're getting most leads there from Twitter. It's important to connect that Facebook account, right? So Tori, actually, would you walk us through how, if I haven't even connected my Facebook account, and how would I go about doing that? Where would I go?
Right. So whenever you are in here, you're going to need to set that up within your settings. There's a lot of things that you can automatically set up that the system is able to generate for you, so that whenever you're creating different campaigns, whether it's in social, whether it's the direct mail, it will auto-populate that information for you. And so one of the things you want to have set up already is your Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, as well as your information like your phone number and the address of your agency. So go ahead into settings and open that up, and there are different sections here where you can set things up. And you see immediately the Facebook portion here. Right now it says manage, but if you had not set that up already, it would allow you to connect that there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's, again, answers.community.com. If you're unfamiliar or you have any troubles, reach out to your Market Center Tech trainer. The articles will also help you. But know that there are two different ones. So we do have Facebook Ads Manager that allows you to put paid ads out there. But also what we'll cover in just a moment is post scheduling, to schedule out your organic posts for free. So both those are just different connections. So that's why there's two Facebook ones there. Also, just be aware of that. Now, one thing that we could probably even take a step back, Tori, that we didn't mention is, well, you also need to have a Facebook page. All right, so if you just got a Facebook profile, great, you're in the Facebook world, and you also need to create a business page there. Again, one of the great things about answers.kiwi.com, there's an article that says getting started with Facebook ads. And if you don't have a Facebook business page, there's a little tutorial on how to do that even there. So Facebook page first, connect it here, and you've got all the good foundation there to do Facebook ads.
Right. Facebook wants your Facebook profile to be about you, not about your business. And then they want you to, if you have a business or multiple businesses, create Facebook business pages for that will connect to your profile as yours, but they are separate things.
Yeah, great point. Good point. Okay, so we're in paid ads here. We're going to go ahead and create this campaign. Now, we're going to create this one from scratch. And so as soon as you hit the create campaign button, this little window pops up and it asks you, okay, what kind of campaign do you want to create? Now, there's a few options here. You have a social ad, which would be Facebook and possibly Twitter. You also have a Google search ad, which would be AdWords. We probably spend less time on that, not to say there's not opportunity, and yet we're seeing a lot of databases grow through the social ad. But know that just from that same window and create campaign, you can do your automatic organic social posting here. You can do the postcards. You can send out the email campaigns as well. But we're going to focus on social ad. A new window will pop up saying, what do you want to name this ad? Now, before we jump in and create our first ad, let's take a pause and ask the question, okay, well, why would I be creating this ad? Okay, now, sometimes we might say, you know what, I just know I want to grow my database and what ads work. That's great, right? I mean, feel free, because in some ways we made it really, really easy in command to get leads at a cheap rate. But also think through as you're building these ads and you develop your proficiency, ask yourself, what am I looking to solve for the consumer? What problem do they have, whether they know it or not? What gap do they have in getting to their real estate goal that I can solve for them? It could be a list of open houses. It could be just, heck, a list of brand new listings because we're in a listing inventory pretty much from coast to coast, right? It could be an amazing home search app that allows you to communicate with your buyer, your co-buyer, which would be our consumer app, right? Whatever it is, think about that of trying to solve a problem for the consumer, the people that are on Facebook, right? Now, that being
something to add there, you want to think about when you are scrolling through Facebook, what do you like to click on? So though you might like to put a picture of your logo or your face or whatever on there, people are probably more likely to click on a home that they're interested in.
That they are, yeah, absolutely. And that's where we're really seeing some momentum here. So, and that's probably where we see the most demonstrations, or where, hey, I got these leads cheap, is just a home that's either coming soon, just listed, price reduced, whatever it is. It's a great photo of the home, or the best photo we can get that catches their attention and stops the scroll, right? So we want to stop the scroll, right, Tori?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to create this campaign, and you know what? I'm just going to call this one 123 Main Street, right? Just for easy purposes here. Because as you have listings, one of the parts of the triangle, these listing and leverage, right? If we have listings, we want to leverage it to get leads. We have the whole triangle right here. It's helpful to know why to name the campaign what it is. So if you have a new listing coming up, or if you're doing an open house for another agent, it's helpful to possibly name the ad that listing. Now, if you're not doing a listing ad, let's say you are promoting your app or wanting people to download or get leads from that, then name it something different. But for our purposes, we're going to go through creating an ad for a new listing. We put it in 123 Main Street, leave it there. Note that what is your goal is not a huge importance to get right. So don't get stuck here, right? In this example, we're going to advertise listing. This really won't change how the ad is created on Facebook, other than advertise multiple listings. And ask me at a later point, or maybe talk with your Market Center tech trainer right now. Advertising multiple listings, unless you want to gain exposure, maybe not gain so many leads, but you want to gain exposure out in the Facebook world of impressions on multiple listings, then you can go that route. But we're going to focus on getting leads on listings and put advertise. I'm going to click Facebook here. One side note here, if you are on the IG, like the cool kids are, then I would recommend creating a separate campaign for them. So I wouldn't select both of these here. I would, Tori, admittedly, you're probably more of a social media guru than I am, right? So why would I maybe create a different type of ad set or different photos or videos for Facebook as I would Instagram?
Yeah, I see Facebook and Instagram as very different platforms. Facebook to me is very social, a lot of back and forth, whereas Instagram is, I view it as my business's online magazine. So I want the best pictures there. It has a different group of people, like you said, the cool kids, but there are different people who use Facebook as opposed to Instagram, and your ads need to be specific to the social media platform that you are wanting to use.
It's awesome. Love that. Yep. So we're going to go the Facebook route here. Not to say it has to be perfect in that way, but I am going to bring this photo in here. Is that showing there? I'm going to have to end up sharing a different screen. Bear with me here. So we got that. We got the name. We got the goal. We're going to hit Facebook, create campaign. All right. Now we want to make this as easy as possible, because if you've ever attempted to create a Facebook ad on Facebook, and the business manager specifically, it can be very, very challenging, and it's a scary world for me even as a tech trainer. Like, that people have probably jobs just solely what they do. They create companies just to make that easier for you. Well, the good news is you don't have to hire a company. You're a part of a company that has made this very easy, and you don't have to worry about all this stuff. We get to take this step by step by step. So, Tori, let's say we'll have an example here of a new listing. If you're a home that's recently come to market, or a home that you previewed, a listing that you have that we can put out there? Or?
Yeah, how about 1511?
All right. So while we're here, a quick side note: this page possibly might change as soon as we put advertised listing. You'll notice this bar came over from the left-hand side. This is where it's going to search for a listing, and is connected to every single MLS. And we got to find the listing if it's in the MLS. So note that very soon this is going to be changing and make it easier to find your listings truly if it is yours. So hang tight to that. But now we're going to click on all listings. We're going to search for the address. Okay. So what did you say it was?
1511.
1511.
Hanscom. Hanscom. That should, I don't believe it is no longer active, so we would have to switch that to all.
Okay.
And this is where I see a lot of agents get very confused. I can't find anything in here. I type something in and nothing's in here. So make sure those two drop downs are appropriately marked.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Yep. So we'll put all status here, and here's Hanscom. There's your listing. So what I'm going to do here is just select this. Now the great thing is it'll automatically bring photos in here. And what just happened, what automatically happened here, it brought in all the MLS photos for you to choose from, the property description, everything for the MLS. So you don't have to worry about finding it in Dropbox or where did the photographer send me those photos, where it is. If it's in MLS, you can bring it right in Command. All right, so I've got the listing here. Now, right here, just to introduce this, okay, this is where you're going to do all the work for your ad. On the left-hand side is where you enter in everything, or you make your selections, your choices. And on the right-hand side is where you get a preview of what your ad looks like. Side little pro note here, I would recommend changing this preview to mobile, because you will see a shortened text, right? So if you have a really long text main copy here, it might get cut off. And so if you use this mobile option, it's going to allow it to see what would not be cut off in mobile, okay? So we've got our name and goal, we've got our Hanscom, and we're just going to walk through this list as we go from top to bottom. So in the next section, it says main copy. Now here's one thing to not get caught up on. Don't think too much about this. It does not have to be the perfect description, nor does it have to be. I'm going to actually share a different screen. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by here. Is that going to be putting this there? Okay. It's going to automatically bring in the proper description. And that might be the last thing that you want to put in as your Facebook ad, okay? For this main copy, okay, there's not a perfect one that you put out there, but there's some best rules to follow. One, make sure that you're not giving all the information about the property. We don't want to put the address in here. We don't want to put the list price. We don't want to put the bedrooms and bathrooms, acreage, possibly acreage if that's just one. I'd say acreage might be one I would consider, and actually we have actually seen some benefit for putting acreage in there. But don't give them all the information, because Tori, if I give information in here, I put a price point of $500,000 here. What's going to happen for those Facebook scrollers?
I don't need to click it. I have all the information. You want to be able to withhold information so that it gives people a reason to click, and then they're asking for more information, and that means that you get information.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this copy here. Okay. And there's so many different approaches of what I put at this top description. Right. And for me, it's always been, I'm going to mention some great features about the home in a very short statement. I might throw in a couple of emojis. The nice thing here is you have a full emoji library. And if you're going to put emojis in here, use that button. So maybe a few emojis, but here, I mean, for me, I would say amazing curb appeal and colors. I don't know this home, Tori, so if there's any other features in here, if it was an open concept or a walkout basement, whatever it is that
and things like this home was renovated, so beautifully renovated. You've got to see this.
Yeah.
And that is going to draw people in.
Absolutely. So I'll just put in there beautifully renovated. I always like this emoji. I don't know why. I'm just drawn to it. So the nice thing about this emoji, you can actually search stuff. So I put in star. I always put that like shiny, sparkly emoji. I don't know why. I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but it makes me feel good. So you'll see as I'm putting in the text here on the right-hand side, it's putting that in there. Now, here's why I don't want you to get hung up on this. Okay, so Tori and I, we have a call on Tuesdays with every single Market Center tech trainer in Keller Williams. It's a high energy group. Some of my favorite people I get to be on Zoom with every week. And there's a contest that the Market Center tech trainers got to do with one another. And the winner was announced today. And the contest was who can have the best Facebook ad at the cheapest cost. So I'm going to slide this over here. Here's why I don't want you, if you're looking for the hottest new ad, because I promise this, the hottest new ad that got the cheapest leads amongst the people that know command, the tech trainers. Here it is. Now this is maybe not the best photo here. Actually, I'm going to blow it up just for a second. Maybe that makes it a little bit easier to see. Look at that. And I know this is a photo of a screen, so bear with me. Look at this. This ad says, beautiful log home on 21 acres of wooded privacy. New listing at the bottom. We'll get to that point. Learn more, and that was it. This ad, get this ad was 15 cents a lead. They got 199 leads.
Wow.
Yeah, $30 spent, just $30, 15 cents a lead. And again, it just worked. It just worked, right?
Yeah.
So
that picture really draws you in, and to say that you have that many acres, you want to see more. You want to see what's inside because you know how beautiful the outside is.
absolutely. Yep. So put a good photo, something that's going to stop the scroll, and also know that we do have a great partnership with Facebook, and a true partnership. It's not a vendor relationship we have. We have built command to maximize Facebook and their algorithm. So we are putting these ads on folks that would likely stop by looking at homes. So that's why you don't have to stress about this. Right? This is why you don't need to hire anybody else to do these ads for you. Just do it here. I'm not promising 15 cents a lead. That was actually quite remarkable. But all that to say, take away from this, don't worry so much about the main copy and allow our partnership with Facebook to do the work. So we got our main copy. I'm going to leave it there. The headline is just below here. This is where we saw a new listing. And I know this one's under contract or recently closed. But putting new listing in there or coming soon, don't wait. Anything like that that causes a call to action is a great thing to consider in here. Let's put that in there because a lot of buyers have FOMO right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of buyers. And also know that you can put a description in here. Nice thing about this is you can use some suggestions there and kind of shuffle through them. So I'm just going to use that one because I'm just going to make this real quick. So you should be coming home with this. Now, one other piece here, I'm going to save this. I'll just save this. I'm going to move on down. We've got our text done. We've got most of our ad already done. So let's choose the media. I'm going to click on configure. There's a green check mark here already because it did choose the first photo. But no, you can add more here. Now, there's different opinions on how best to do this. Some tech trainers and agents say, you know what? I'm finding I get more leads when I put 3 to 4 photos on here. And somebody else says, no way. When I put one out there, I'm getting 30-cent leads. Again, no best practice there to recommend, yet test it out in whatever you're familiar with. I would say don't add too many in there. Like if you do put a strong feature about open concept, maybe that's one you put. Or we've seen it work well where somebody puts, you got to check out the pool, right? And we might have like a somewhat of a snapshot of a pool where they really want to add. So I'm just going to leave this at 1, but know if I were to add one here, add more photos, it would kind of put them on a carousel. So if you've seen a Facebook ad on a carousel, you can flip through them. If you do that, if you do add more photos, the nice thing about Facebook is it will begin to put the ad that is clicked on the most as they scroll through front and center. It'll put that one more forward. All right. So I'm just going to leave it at that photo. Best practice from we've heard mostly across the board is include your ownership statement. Check with your broker, your appliance folks in the market center. But we do want to put that one in there. If you have just above that, you see my market center's DBA logo, the logo of the market center. If you've got that in your marketing profile, that will already show up. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that, and I'm going to save. We got our media. Tori, anything else to add through those sections? I just don't want to miss.
Back to the test and change, see what works for you and maybe do it slightly different next time and kind of hone in on what's going to work for you over time. This doesn't have to be perfect the first time. You're going to learn things as you do it. And even further down as we get to some more of the nitty gritty settings as far as pricing and who this is going to be shown to. Again, test and change. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just put it out there and see what happens.
Love it. Yeah. Perfect in action. Matt told us to do it, so we're going to do it. So next is Facebook settings. And here's some exciting stuff that is going on here. When you go into Facebook settings, as long as we have our Facebook profile connected, if you haven't done that yet, this is where you'll be met with an error message. Hey, you can't move further. You got to connect your Facebook profile and a page. So here's what's really cool. I've got my profile selected here. So don't be alarmed if it doesn't show your Facebook page here, because it's connected to my profile. It's going to read what are all the Facebook pages that I'm allowed command that to have access to, which ones are going to show up. Now, I've got a lot of Facebook pages for different purposes, and yet I'm going to actually add the Facebook page of where folks are watching this training. Our tech trainers of the Greater Harlan page. So when I select that, you'll notice that the branding for my page is at the top here. All right. Again, you want to make sure you select the page. I've seen other people be very purposeful in creating business pages for a lot of different reasons, whether it's coming soon homes for my area or anything. I mean, there's not really, in my understanding, a lot of limitations of why you can create a Facebook page. So people can be purposeful. So I'm going to pause here because I know we've gone through a lot. And I'm going to pause here and say, tune back in, lean in just for a second, because this next spot's really, really important to understand. We've got our page selected, this destination, right? You have two options. You have the Facebook Legion form and the site landing pages. You're going to find drastically different results on which one you choose, okay? If you choose Facebook lead generation form, what is going to happen for the consumer, for that person that clicks on Facebook? So right now, if they click on learn more, if I've got this Facebook lead gen form selected, I might actually have to connect to Facebook. There we go. Thanks. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me back up here. Thought I had all that done. Oh, it's because it wasn't for my tech trainer page. That's why. There we go. Done and done. It's like Facebook lead. There we go. Sorry, I had to do some side work there. So when you choose this Facebook lead gen form, they're scrolling. They're going to see this beautifully remodeled home. They're going to click on learn more. As soon as they do that, a little form will pop up in Facebook, more than likely with their information already pre-filled out. And then all they have to do is hit one more button saying submit. Okay. That's ideal if you want to be able to get leads to automatically come in Facebook. Okay. Now your impressions might be a little bit lower, and that's okay. If your focus is on getting leads and automatically in command, use Facebook lead generation form. Highly recommended. Right. Now this other option here, site or landing pages. This could be if you would prefer for them to have their information entered somewhere else, or some other, our agents have decided, you know, if I choose this one, you will get more impressions, less leads, but more impressions, meaning it's going to get in front of more people. And if they click on learn more, then I will, whatever link I take them to, I just want them to be taken there. Some people have used their KW app, their personalized link for KW app for a quick, easy download and have it automatically branded them. That would be one use case where I would use site or landing pages as a Facebook lead gen form. I really want to get my app out there and just have it downloaded, I might consider that. But no, and we receive this quite often, Lori, have you gotten this yet? You're like, hey, I just put an ad out for $30, I got 0 leads.
Exactly, yeah, they just have it pressed on the wrong one. And it definitely has, the landing page has its purpose, But if you are trying to collect people's information, then you need to use Facebook, because you're most likely to go ahead and click one button and sit there and enter in all that information. So yeah, again, things have their purpose, and that's why there's different options. So if you are looking for leads, stick with the Facebook one.
Yeah, I like they put recommended in there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have a button label here. There's a sign up and apply now. Again, best practice we're learning from the field, people doing the things of ads here. Learn more is the most, or I should say the least committal, right? I mean, it's like, okay, learn more, I'll learn more. I don't want to sign up. Like that's a little bit too much. I recommend learn more. And the good news is, even if we use this Facebook lead gen form, right? Because right now, Tori, if we're creating this ad, somebody's seeing it, new listing, don't wait. We want to give them the information, right? But at this point, if they click on learn more, they fill out the form. We've got bingo. We got the information. It's a lead in command. Well, we want to make good on our promise, so we want to give them the information about the property or whatever problem we're wanting to solve for them. So down here in the website URL, this is where you would direct them to. After they filled it out and they filled out the form, then where do they go? So my recommendation here, Tori, I'll receive anything else on this. You can create a landing page automatically in command, and yet if you're doing this on the quick, I would use your agent website. Just go to your agent website and put the property listing in there. So is this one under contract, Tori, or is that already closed?
This one is closed, but as you were saying, I often use a landing page. It has a form on there, and it has my app information, so people are able to get more than just the information from the listing, which is nice, because if they are serious about wanting to see the house, then they have me right there in front of them. My website has that too, but it doesn't have as much that pertains particularly to me, especially in regards to the giant, download my app portion of the landing page that I typically put in there. But if you go to and you put your website link in there, that also works. I would stick with using the Keller Williams one and not some other options that are available to show listings.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now, like you mentioned, landing page, that did give me a reminder. Some best practice or masterminding we've done around those landing pages, especially for Facebook ads. And if you're asking the question now, well, what's a landing page? That's okay. You can learn that later. It's at answers.kb.com, but it's one page that you can create and customize it a little bit. Some of our agents have put a video. There's a little video widget that you can have, and you put that at the top of the page. And then you can introduce yourself. You're the professional that is, introducing this property that they just clicked on. We're getting some good information back. That's a great way as a warm introduction, because you are going to call, you're going to text this person to put a face and a smile for the ad that they just clicked on. It's a nice little buffer. So, but if this is your first ad that you're creating and you're following along here, then I'm just going to pick a property here. Let's see. Select one here. There we go. So I'm just going to click a home on here. And so when you click on the home, we're going to take this URL. So if you're creating a listing ad, you've got the photos, you've got all your text of the ad ready. Search it on your site and make sure it's your site. This is my Greater Heartland site that I have. So use your site, because you'll notice here it's branded to me. Tori, I've actually had folks, as I've created an ad, they submit their information through that lead gen form. They still go to my site, right, the property, and also register again. I've had that happen a few times. So they double enter. You better believe I'm calling that person, all right, because they give me the information twice.
Well, and if you don't use your website and you use some of those other name brands that I mentioned, if you aren't paying them to put you at the top, they're going to be calling someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that when they click this link, they're calling you, that your face and your number are right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just right there. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take that link. I've just copied it. So I'm going to just paste that in there. You'll know you're good to go when you get the green check mark here as it works. And again, if you've already created your landing page, you can choose it here really easily. It's maybe 201 stuff here. All right, I got my green check mark. Moving forward, your audience. It is defaulted based on where the listing has been brought in from. So you'll see Lawrence, Kansas, 20-mile radius. You can change this. There's an option to target my database. Again, that's probably more 201. We're looking at growing our database. And so we're going to do a target custom audience in the area. You can change the area if you want. It defaulted because this listing that Tori originally gave us was in Lawrence. You can go as low as 15 miles all the way up to 50. Different opinions there. Some folks would be like, you know what, we're pretty concentrated urban area. 15 miles is probably more than I need to go. Right? Or it might be rural. I'll go as far as 100 if I need to, but we're capped at 50 there. One other piece I'll mention here, expert targeting. There's other opinions on this. If this is your first ad, don't bother with the expert targeting. I would just hold off. And to be frank, in our region, in our area, the greater Heartland, which is in the heart of the United States, I guess I've mentioned this, Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, Arkansas, and Kansas, we're actually seeing less leads once we start using this expert targeting. That could change, but we honestly go the easy route. Don't worry about expert targeting, but know that you can be very specific and direct ads to people based on certain interests. You might see other training videos out there to put in people that are interested in Zillow. Well, I want to target them, right? Again, you can do that, but in our experience so far, there's not a lot of extra benefit for our area.
Yeah, and you can play around with it, do one that is without it and one that's with it, and see what's working in your market, because all markets function slightly differently. The same with the radius. Lawrence isn't very big. It's probably only 20 miles across, so maybe that's all we need here. But I could also expand into some more rural areas where people might be wanting to come into Lawrence. So play around with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you know there's some type of migration from one city to another, from one employers, or we even have agents that know that in this general area that people, so I'm in St. Louis, a lot of people are always looking for vacation homes in Lake of the Ozarks. Like they put ads in Lake of the Ozarks to look for buyers. It works, right? So it doesn't have to be just in your area. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save that. We are almost wrapped up. What did I not choose here? I missed something. Learn more. Facebook link required. I chose all these. Let me try it one more time. Did I miss anything? Well, I don't know why it's giving me that error there. I chose them all. Try it one more time here. Bear with me. All right. I'm just going to change something here. I don't know why it's changing that for me, unless I added interest and I goofed by trying to add one. I'll just add one real quick. Maybe that's the gap because I started the process and didn't finish it. Nope. All right. We're going to have to figure that out. I want to put a note there. All right. So once we get our Facebook settings going here, the next section here is lead settings. This is important, and this is what Matt was talking about. He's very excited when it came. If you've attended our Contacts and Smart Plans trainings, which was a couple of weeks ago, you know what we're talking about here. So you can have these leads as they come in, brand new to your database, new folks, to have a tag automatically created here. A lot of different ways you can approach this. Some people create tags based on the address of the ad they're creating, right? So if I had whatever the address was here, 123 Main Street, right? I could put this in. I've done this quite a few times, but I could create that ad. So if I choose this, every lead is going to have this tag automatically. I can also have a smart plan automatically added to these leads, right? So there's, in the smart plans library, there's a plethora of Facebook plans to use, ones that are just solely text, solely calls, solely emails, a combination of all of them. Check it out, but you can choose all of these. I want to choose one of my favorites, and actually came out of our region, is the easy button. Can I search? Look back there. Let's actually go easy button. If you're looking for a great Facebook Smart Plan, check that one out. It's my easy button. I'm going to save that there. And then for our duration and budget, we are, it's got a last step here, right? And again, there's no perfect recommendation here. Some folks say, you know, I'm going to spend $25. $5 a day is great. Some people get great results for $1. Generally, I've heard you're probably in a safe space if you do anywhere from $5 to $8. But again, test this out. It is going to default to 10 days, $30 spend for $3 a day. Again, we're seeing great results there. What I would say as a rule, make sure that you cover a weekend, however short or long it might be. make sure you have a weekend or weekends covered. So if this is a 10-day plan, I would want to make sure that I start this on Friday. And that would also go into, of course, I'm going a little bit into the future. It would go through August the 3rd. 10 days would cover 2 weekends. People are just more apt to be on Facebook, be more leisurely, and we see more ads that way. Tori, any other recommendations there for?
Yeah, so I know that in our market center, one of the things that we're doing is creating a 4-day plan for new listings. So they'll come out on Thursday. We'll plan for open houses on Saturday and Sunday, and most of the time it's under contract by Monday in this particular market or in this time. So we are planning our campaigns around that. We want it to come out in time to be able to show it so that we can take some interest for open houses, and sometimes we'll even put some information in our campaigns regarding the open houses. So maybe you have a plan like that, or maybe I also tell my agents it's a good idea to constantly have one running. They're not very expensive, and if you set it up in a way where it is connecting to a smart plan using tags, you can pop open your command, and in the task portion every day, if you've set it up this way, it can say, you need to call these people today. Because, half the battle when we sit down for lead gen is figuring out what to do. And if you can use command in campaigns and smart plans to have it do that for you, you're going to save time and you're going to be able to reach more people.
Love that. Great advice. That's great. Hope they wrote that down. That was good. Always have one running. Love it. So let's say, for me, I'm assuming my Facebook settings piece here, I have never put an ad out on this tech trainer. So I think I have to go confirm that on Facebook. So I won't take time to do that. But, let's say when I'm drafting my ad and I just want to pause, know that you can save it, but also know that once you publish this is the magic button that will put it live. You're looking at about 12 hours-ish. That should be max by the time this goes live. So you put one early in the morning, you want to start it that day. It will happen, but it's going to need to be an early part of the day. So I'm going to just go ahead and save this here, which will take us to back to our campaigns spot here for paid ads. So while you're here, and as ads start to come through, let's say we've actually published this and the ad is running, leads will begin to come in, right? That's going to happen. Now, if you put an auto tag, an auto smart plan, that relieves some of the pressure of feeling that you have to do something right then and there. But as a lead comes in, you will get a command notification here at the top, right? Saying, hey, a new lead came in. You can click on that notification. It'll take you directly to that lead, which is nice. If you have Kelly downloaded, you'll get a notification there, right? And you should also be receiving information on email if you're within a team. If you've been assigned a lead, which we have a team campaigns. That feature actually just came out yesterday. We're going to do a team training later in the month. Check out tech.ghregion.com to see that training. It'll still be here on the Facebook or YouTube Live. And but just know, you'll get notified when a lead comes in. The question then is, okay, well, what do I do? And that depends on your approach, whether it's a smart plan. If you automatically put them on a smart plan and it created a task for you to call them, and the nice thing is you're going to see that in your task manager to call that person. Right? Or if there is just an email or automatic text that are going out through Twilio, it's a setup, forget it, no calls, they're going to be running in the background. No matter what happens, you can always come back to this page and see which leads you had put out there.
And I will add that if you have your Facebook ad rejected, you probably should go back and check what you put in for the description. Sometimes there's keywords that will make Facebook pop it back to you. Certain things they find that could be, political, racial things that they don't want to include in ads. And so you can adjust that and resubmit it.
Love it. Yep, absolutely. For sure. And again, if you have any other trouble, if it's rejected, you're just not really understanding why, reach out to your Market Center tech trainer. We'll problem solve it with you. But know when these ads are running and whether they're completed, you'll see this little, to break this down, it kind of gives you some results on every single row, which is an individual ad. So here you'll see 14 Riverbend Court. I ran it for 5 days. I spent $50 or $30 total, so it gives me a cost per million impressions, or which one is that? It's clicks per 1,000, I believe it was. And then you'll see how many cost per click, and you'll see the actual lead cost, right? So know that you can find those leads, even though you're getting notifications, they're automatically coming into your contacts. and you can filter through leads, you can filter through lead source, you can be able to find those, but you can always come back here and get your list for these. So if I just click on, I'll just do the Fort Smith demo here, you've got a list of your leads here. Now, these are no longer in the account. It was actually training I did for a market center. But this is where you can take action. If they're not on a smart plan, if you haven't tagged them yet, you can do this within this view there as well. So Tori, we're over an hour. We kind of went in depth here. So one thing that I'm going to do, as you're following along, we're going to put 3 different links into the comments here. One that is focused specifically on social posts, to scheduling that out, okay? Because I'm sure we probably exhausted our time here. One on how to do social posts organic. There's some amazing, quick, easy posts you can do and not pay a dime for to get exposure on your Facebook page. We'll put a link in the comments for that. Also below that, we'll put a link on how to do an email campaign. Also, thirdly, we'll do one for postcards. It's a lot to cover in this time. We wanted to introduce the most important, well, I should say the most, one that has the most buzz, the most attention to it. So that's Facebook ads. The other 3 will be in the comment section. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments below and share the recording out. We hope this has been of value for you. Reach out to your amazing marketing tech trainer. Tori, anything else to add? That burning desire, some wisdom, knowledge to close this out, or you can't not?
Don't be afraid to mess up. So many people are so overwhelmed by command. Don't be afraid to mess up. If you create an ad and it's not getting the clicks that you want, it's not getting the leads that you want, don't be discouraged by that. Just move forward, do another one, try different things out. You can't break it. So just be confident and move forward and use these amazing tools that we have.
I love that. Yeah. All right, Tori. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. And Tori, appreciate your expertise, your knowledge, and working with your amazing agents there in Lawrence. We'll see you next time. We're doing this again Thursday at 1:30. We're covering $ designs. And so if you want some marketing materials, you want to know how to create a postcard in order to do a postcard campaign, or to create a great looking email to do that email campaign, Thursday at 1:30, same place. We hope to see you then. Tori, thanks again.
Yep. Thanks for having me.